Hello, my name is Fritz Ko,
And I'm Raven Brooks.
and welcome to our YouTube show, Factual Conspiracy. Tonight we have an interesting show planned for you guys, and if this is the first time you are joining us, well then welcome, in general.
Hey, hello everyone.
Hey buddy, so how are you doing today? I imagine where you are it's significantly hotter than here in central Michigan. Haha.
Actually, it's raining here.
Really, that sucks. It was looking like
Yeah.
it was going to rain here earlier, but all that cleared up and went away. So anyone who's in central Michigan, we may not have any rain. Still overcast.
Yeah, it's died down a bit, but it's still sprinkling here and there.
All right, topic of discussion today is going to be missing people and all the different side topics here to there that could involve. We'll talk about portals. We'll talk about creatures that have been seen. We'll talk about Bigfoot sightings related to the missing areas, cluster areas described in the Missing 411 books written by David Paulides. Is there anything else you can think I'm missing out, buddy? Just to sum up what we're going to
Well, I
talk
don't know.
about?
That's a pretty wide spectrum there, bud.
There
Yeah,
we go.
um,
All right.
that's yeah. Just keep it going. Whatever we want to talk about.
One thing
There's
that
a lot. There's so much stuff out there, man. I
well,
mean, who knows where we're gonna go with it? But for the most part, there's a lot of really strange things going on worldwide. I mean, I don't even know where to start sometimes.
oh, for sure. One thing we probably should start here because this did cause some controversy with people in the past, and I'm sure we'll pick an interesting title for this episode as well. Yeah. Anyway, um,
Yeah.
David Paulides' newest book, Devil in the Details. I have three of the missing 411 series. I don't actually have all. I think there's 4 or 5 books. I don't have every single book that David Paulides has wrote, but any book where he touched on missing people in the Michigan area, I did choose to purchase that. You know what I mean? We've discussed this before in the past. It's nice to have these books, his books, for reference because for certain areas it gives you a lot of different people that have disappeared, and for cautionary purposes you can inform yourself of those areas to be careful in when you're there with your family visiting those parks and whatnot, said areas. But basically, though, the one thing I had commented on is in his newest book, he has a chapter in the beginning where he states that if you've thought about Bigfoot as in relation to these disappearances, I want you to think about UFOs. And if you've thought about UFOs, I want you to think about Lemurians. And if you've thought about Lemurians, I want you to think about ancient societies and whatnot. So he gives you 4 different things that he puts forth that he thinks is interesting enough that he suggests that people look into in relation to the disappearance of people. And so that's the reference from the first video that you guys have seen before. And I do apologize. We should have just discussed it there in that subject in that show. But if you listen to the show, it's our first show. It's our first attempt. We do get lots of comments on it and compliments as well. And thank you very much, guys. But we are a little bit all over the place, So bear with us. We did mean to discuss it. It just didn't happen. So we have now here, and that's exactly what we're referencing to. And he doesn't really go into any more depth than what I just told you right now. So
Yeah.
there you go.
It does say though. He did make reference to being, the field of suspects are narrowing as
Oh,
far as
that is true. And in several of his other books, he has mentioned different other stories from other books, ones pertaining to fairies and tales of in the Netherlands where they build highways around rocks because they're in fear of some kind of
Oh yeah,
entity that
man.
may
I
live
mean,
in the
think about it.
rocks. Yeah, that will
Think
abduct
about it.
people, and just lots of interesting folklore about missing people. And yeah, some of his books are pretty interesting reads. If you've listened to any of his radio talk shows, though, you will get the gist of them. The books they pretty much go off in that fashion. And David Paulides is a very entertaining speaker to listen to on the radio shows. I have enjoyed listening to pretty much every single interview that I've heard him do. At least when he was on a show like Coast to Coast AM or Where Does the Road Go, and I wanted to thank Where Does the Road Go for giving me, Fritz Kovids, permission to use their videos, specifically and only the ones related to missing 411 and disappearings of people. Thank you, Where Does the Road Go? We really do appreciate that, and we recommend everyone go and check out their radio show and their podcast. And they have a YouTube channel where if you've missed their shows, you can go ahead and recheck them out. So there you go.
Excuse me.
So there's a lot of different interesting subjects. The one that really interested me a lot at first was the whole the portal topic around the missing people. How it was been brought up by several people, and a lot of people brushed it off. And I will admit, Raven, I was guilty of that at first too, just writing it off and thinking that was sci-fi fiction, you know. But when I found out that NASA in 2014 had actually planned an exploratory mission to investigate portals, and now I may be jumping to my own conclusions here, but I'm guessing for the purpose of possible, you know, faster speeds of transportation, whether it would be of people or of cargo or whatever. I'm sure that's what they're investigating them for. I'm not positive, you know, but what else would be the purpose? Um,
Yeah.
what's
Well,
your
I mean, with what they're doing with the in CERN right now, at in Geneva, and there's a couple other places that they have the super colliders running. That's what they state. They state they are looking for other dimensions. They're trying to open something up.
And for the viewers
That's
that
the
aren't
whole
familiar
theme of it.
for the viewers who aren't familiar with what CERN is, could you explain that a little bit more for all of us?
Well, it's a super collider. It's a particle accelerator that they experiment on. Particles to try to, without getting into the too details. Basically, what they're trying to do is discover theoretical particles, and they're trying to, experiment on how to open up portals and maybe find other dimensional rifts. And if you look, you know what you heard about the in Arizona, they have the Vatican has an observatory on Mount Graham. Have you heard of that?
Not too much. I'm not too familiar. I've heard of it. It seems like it's a topic that's hushed.
Yeah, it was back in the '90s. They were applying for the trying to get up there on Mount Graham. Well, as it turns out, the Apache tribe considers that a very sacred site, and they had to get they went to actual federal court over that to try to stop them. Because it's to them it's even more sacred than a burial ground. Though they do have people buried on that mountain, they consider Mount Graham to be one of 4 most sacred mountains of in all the native beliefs. I mean, interestingly enough, they consider it to be a portal, like they call it, what's the quote they called it? They called it the they called it the Stargate. They considered it Stargate. Well, things have come from other dimensions, came and left from that mountain.
Now this is Native American lore.
Yeah, there was actually
a
federal court battle between the native people, Native Apache, NASA, and the Vatican, to not have them build that observatory. There's a couple on there. The interesting thing is the environmentalists. I mean, they're pretty. The environmentalist organizations are pretty powerful.
Oh,
and they sided with the Apache in these court proceedings, and they ended up. They actually. It normally would be almost impossible for somebody who'd done something like that, but they went through all this red tape and ran through, and there they sit. And the interesting thing about what the name of the telescope, observatory telescope is?
I'm not familiar. No.
The Vatican. It's called seriously, look it up. It's called the Lucifer One. It's called Lucifer One. That's no joke.
Oh wow, that seems like a really holy name for the Catholic Church
I can't
to get
imagine,
behind. Wow.
I seriously can't imagine why they would, whole nother angle,
Well,
But
you've talked about in the
it's
past.
odd. It's definitely odd.
You've talked about in the past that the Vatican keeps a whole hoard of different um, manuscripts and old sections of the Bible that have never been seen before by too many people. And you even said they
Well,
had a painting of the devil.
well, I don't know about the manuscripts, and I'm not, and I wouldn't be saying. I'm not trying to say that they. If they have manuscripts like that, it's nothing. It's nothing like the original Bible or anything like that. But there might be. But I do know that they have like artifacts that are of other gods, like demigods or paganistic gods like Shiva. There's a painting. Yeah, there's an old painting of Lucifer down there,
That's creepy.
and that's you can do the research and find out. There's other. I just can't imagine. It's not a museum. I mean, they're not having people go look at this stuff. Just like a museum. So I'm curious about the fact is why they
Oh
would even
wow.
have that stuff.
When you talk about ancient artifacts, it reminds me of what you were talking about the other day with me on a personal level when we were just chatting about during the Iraq War, the early days of the Iraq War. Um, it was a select regiment of our army, or was it the Marines? They came into
Oh
the
yeah,
bag.
yeah. I'm not sure, but there were military involved, but there also was the ambassador to Iraq, or it was either the ambassador to the U.S. One of the two was
Okay.
supposedly one of these curators for the Iraqi Baghdad Museum was sent somebody an email with all these still photos. It was like still photos taken off of cameras. And as it goes, these they went in. It showed a bunch of people walking in there, and they went back to a back room where they unlocked it. And it was like a secret storage room. If you want to picture like that big storehouse, the storeroom of Indiana Jones, where they have all these artifacts and boxes and all this stuff, it was kind of like that. When they went down into this basement area, and these still photographs were following them, from each camera. And they get down there and they're digging through all these. I mean, they have stuff from Babylon, just really, really nice masks and staffs and all this kind of stuff. But they really didn't mess with that stuff too much, but look at it. And in some of the photographs, apparently they go back and there's two boxes probably a little bit bigger than the size of maybe a coffin. And one of the, it looked like an official, either the ambassador or somebody to that effect. I can't remember the exact term or the position of this official. But they looked in depth inside of both of these crates, and and then said something to somebody, and they ran out and got a couple of soldiers came down and they boxed them up, loaded them up, and took them. And as the story goes, I can't prove none of this, but it is from a fairly credible source. Supposedly, some of that stuff in those two boxes were something to do with portal technology or like dimensional doorway technology, something to do with DNA too. So that's I never really got into the too specific about it, but I do know that they took that stuff and just split.
Oh
You know what I
wow.
mean? That was like right there at the beginning.
So we got disappearing artifacts, we got possible portal technology, and this is the whole point that we're trying to allude to you guys out there, is that when we talk about these different subjects, and it seems like we're going off on tangents, a lot of these subjects interconnect in ways that are hard to really find unless you go into them in depth. And so here we go. We got our
Yeah.
government
Well, the
making.
other thing I want to add is you guys listening out there, if you have any input comments, I mean, absolutely. What we'd like to do is take some comments, well thought out comments, maybe anything that you guys might want us to look into or have some information we may be missing, part of the puzzle. I mean, it always helps. We'd be more than happy to read some of those comments and answer them, and even directly answer. We're just like I said, we're just a couple of guys that. Fritz and I have come to the conclusion that we're like-minded, and we woke up, to all these issues going on worldwide, all the way back to the ancient civilization. Some of the things that we're taught are just, ridiculously, there's a lot of stuff that's covered up, and we're just finding so much information out there.
And this is
And
something that me and Raven have been researching for years. Like
yeah, these are
we're
things I've been
talking
into for a
about
long time.
we've been
Now,
woken
having
up to
said
the
that,
things we're talking
I
about
want to,
for 5 years
yeah, go
plus.
ahead.
Oh, I was just saying we've been awoken to these ideas we're discussing here with you guys for 5 years plus. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
looking at
yeah,
2007 when I really started opening my eyes to a lot of different things that were going on around me and looking at things in a new point of view, a new way of
yeah,
thinking.
truly. Well, I'd be, I am a Christian. Now, I'm not one of those people that are going to come down there and tell you you're wrong, you're going to hell, and all this. I believe what I believe, and a lot of the stuff that I believe, there's a root cause, in anybody who understands Christianity. And I don't mean the ones that are telling you, all these weird different twists of these churches out there. I do what I can, and I don't want to, force my views, or I don't want people thinking I'm forcing my views and thoughts on there. Um, that's the side of the spectrum that I am on.
But the
But
point
it doesn't
Raven's
change
trying
the
to
fact that
make,
we do the research objectively, and we can put it out there and discuss it and theorize. That's fine, And so we want you to have as many points of view as you can possibly, as we can possibly provide.
and I'm
So
sure our views will come through, our personal views on life, on religion, and lots of different things. That's the point Raven's trying to express to you guys. But our main goal here is just to bring you guys facts.
exactly, and interesting theory,
Oh,
of
of
those facts.
course, we will add theory and conjecture to things, but we will duly note these when appropriately when providing you those. We do make videos from time to time that we think are appropriate that we upload in between these shows, and that's
Yeah,
mainly just to fill the void because we have we have our own lives, we work, we have families, eat both of us. So, I mean, between all those endeavors, it is hard sometimes to sit down for a couple hours and do it successfully enough to where you can actually edit and upload it to YouTube. We've had a couple shows in the past that we didn't think were going to be as enjoyable enough for you guys. So we wanted to make sure that we are bringing you guys entertaining, factual content.
yes, and we want to keep this, level. I'm not going to be saying, oh, hey, there's we have a producer we need to talk to. No, there's none of that. We want to have a down to earth two people. You know, I'd like to say halfway intelligent. I
A
don't.
matter of opinion, I guess.
Yeah, Fritz likes to. I'm really impressed by Fritz's work. He does a lot of research, and he's got a lot of knowledge. There's so much out there to discuss. I mean, I see just hundreds of shows, down the road, but we want to maintain this level of two regular guys doing this research, finding these things out, interacting with you guys in your comments, putting stuff, recommendations for shows. I've got I'm from Washington State. Right now I'm in Tennessee, but I'm from Washington State, and there's a lot of things that I've experienced down there. And you've probably heard of Mel's whole story, and I lived
And
right
if
down
you
the road where
haven't,
one of the kids came up
check
missing.
out our second show, Mel's Hole. It's already uploaded to YouTube. If you haven't.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting, and I know that being from that area, I know that this was something that was real. It wasn't some kind of a legend where it spread out and people it wasn't not saying the whole story, but most of that story is correct.
And Raven
But
has more stories in the future to come from the Washington
yeah,
area. So you guys out there
yeah.
from the Washington area, look forward to hearing more interesting stories from your local communities.
Yeah, hey, we could go into that Liberty, Washington story. That you remember the photos I sent you?
Oh man, yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this story happened personally to me, and I had a couple of friends that contracted out to a to be able to dredge in an old Chinese gold mine. And this is 30 miles from Ellensburg. It's about 30 miles north of Ellensburg, going towards Wenatchee. Um, they got a contract, and it was a really deep mine, probably of 300 or 400 feet down, and a pretty good incline. And I was over at a friend's house, and he's got a shop there, and we go over there and do projects together. Well, while I was over at a friend's house, these two friends of mine, I'll just name one of them. His name's John, and they come over to talk to. We're both mutual friends of the person's house that I was at, and they come in and he goes, "Man, I got to show you something." And I said, "What?" He goes, "Man, I got contracted that mine up there, and our first descent, man. And you showed me these pictures, and I went, whoa, that's freaky. What happened?" He goes, "Let me tell you what happened. This guy isn't one of those guys prone. He's not a drinker. He doesn't do drugs. He's not one of these guys that's prone to telling ridiculous stories. And I've known that of him for years. So
Very nice.
he told me that the first descent they were going down. Now this mine was made the mid 1800s, mid to late 1800s by Chinese immigrants that had this claim there, and they dug these mines, and the pictures show some kind of tendrils coming out of these wood beams, support beams that these Chinese had built in there, and it was probably about 200 feet down. Well, he said they were going down, they're bringing their equipment down, their dredge equipment and whatnot. Because at the bottom of this mine, there is an underground, water hole or something down there where they're going to be dredging. And they get about 200 feet down, and they find these tendrils kind of hanging out of little pieces of them, long tendrils hanging out of this wood. It kind of looked like a fungus or some kind of mold, And he kind of looked at it and shined a light at it, and he said he kind of walked towards it. And as he walked towards it, one of the long ones kind of raised up towards him, and he was like, looking at it. And he said they were long and white and fuzzy, and at the end they had an eyeball-looking orb at the end of every one of these little tendrils. And he reached towards it, and it reached up towards him, almost like it was like static electricity or something. He didn't know how dense the things were, if they were wavy or or really light, or if they're heavy or what. But he said as he reached towards it, it reached up, kind of stretched up towards him, and he pulled back and shined a light on him, and then he said all of the little tendrils started wiggling spasmodically, like just wiggling, really, really shuddering and stuff, and they were all doing it together like it was one organism. And it said it freaked him out so bad they backed out, took their stuff out, pulled all their stuff back out of there, and went up there and looked at the pictures. They took pictures, but they took the pictures before that actually happened. So, and after that happened, they pulled out of there, and they were like freaked, and talked about it and just stored the pictures. And then
hey, did they ever go down to the well again?
What's that?
Did they ever go back down in the mine again?
Oh yeah, they went down there dredging. And as a matter of fact,
did they ever get a sample of these tentacles?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Did they ever get a sample of these tentacles? Do you know, Raven?
No, he said they were so freaked out by that. He said they had to talk each other to go back down in there, but it was a good spot. So I mean, they got this contract, and it was a really good mine, really good spot. So I mean, they just went down there and just kind of went around those as much as they could, and didn't even bother with it. They just put it out of their mind. But excuse me, but yeah, he was really freaked out by it. He was like shuddering. I could tell he was just freaking out talking to me about it. And to be honest,
some super mold growth with a life of its own. Mind of its own.
Yeah, I tried looking up maybe some kind of a wood mold or fungus that would grow out of it. I really couldn't find anything like that. But if anybody out there has any idea what these things will be, and before we put those pictures up, those pictures are original. They're not off the internet. They are pictures that were transferred from his camera SD card to my phone, and I've had them on there.
These photos will be everywhere. These photos will be on my Facebook. These photos will be on Raven Brooks' Facebook. You guys will be able to go check them out. Please subscribe to us on our Facebooks as well. Yeah,
absolutely. But incidentally, at the end, let me finish this up with a pretty good ending to this.
Okay.
When the first time they went down in there, it was like the third day of dredging. They went by these things, and they never really wanted to look. They just kind of skirted these things. And the third day they were down there, they actually dredged up it was some kind of catfish-looking extinct creature that was really well preserved, and they actually went to Central Washington University with it and let them look at it. It was really really well preserved. I don't know what it was called, but it looked like they said it almost looked like a little fuzzy human. But it was it had gills, and it was really weird looking. It's something that was been extinct for a while, but they did find some really weird stuff down there.
Wow. You know what
Yeah,
really makes me interested is I'm wondering if anyone listening to this program right now has any idea of what it could be they saw, or has either seen something like this or heard stories of anyone else. If you guys have, please leave a comment.
yeah, absolutely.
All right.
It's disturbing to me. It's one of those creepy things like a spider some people want to know about.
Last week, me and Raven had interviewed some gentlemen about a UFO that they had seen locally in central Michigan area that I'd gotten contact through on Facebook. That had gotten contact with me. And we're going to go ahead and upload that right now, and then we'll come right back and finish up the show. There's still more after that, and that's only around 10 or 12 minutes. So, all right, next topic on our YouTube channel show is on my other channel, Fritz KO Vids. I have a video of some gentlemen from Michigan that recorded an unidentified flying object one night when they were out around a campfire. And we have them as guests tonight on our show. First guest, what is your name and where are you from?
I'm Jared from St. John's, Michigan.
Second guest, what's your name and where are you from?
I am JD from St. John's, Michigan.
All right, gentlemen. Now, in the video that you provided to us, could you describe a little bit the object that you guys seen?
It was very bright. Different colors, changing shapes. It's kind of in the distance. We looked at it through binoculars to really get a good look at it.
About how far away would you guys say it was from you?
About 2 to 5 miles.
Yeah, a couple to 5 miles.
All right, now, would you guys say how many other people were there with you? Were you guys by yourselves?
3 other people were with us.
Would you guys say that they would corroborate seeing the object?
Definitely.
Yes.
Now, you guys, I'm sure, are familiar with different types of objects like helicopters and airplanes and remote control helicopters and remote control drones that a lot of people do own nowadays.
Yeah.
You guys have seen those before?
Yes.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Now, would you guys say that the object resembled those in any way whatsoever?
No.
I couldn't say that it does.
So you'd say there's no possibility?
No chance.
Nope.
Okay. Raven, did you have any questions that you wanted to ask them?
Well, I was going to ask if was it multicolored?
It was. There were multiple colors visible.
And did it look like it was disappearing and appearing, or was it moving farther away and coming closer and kind of
Both.
like that?
Both, actually. It did appear to be dimming and brightening, but it also appeared to be distancing itself.
Wow. Did you guys said you looked at the object through binoculars, right?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Okay. Now did you mentioned that it changed shape? Am I correct? Can you give us an example of the shape?
Almost.
Like if it was spherical, and did it turn long, or did it?
It was somewhat spherical, and it did oblong. It kind of became like an oval shaped, and it kind of was in throughout itself. It was really interesting. It was very cool.
Like a multicolored bubble, kind of stretching different shapes, right?
Something along those lines, yes.
Wow.
How long would you guys say you've seen the object for?
Total couple hours,
couple
2.5 hours, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
So
visible.
Go ahead.
It was visible for quite a while.
Go ahead, Raven. You have the floor.
Did you guys have more than one camera? Did somebody else take a video of it?
Yes, we did. We had 2.
Okay. Now, who has the best video?
It wouldn't be the video that you already have.
Okay. So somebody else has it, but they're not giving it up, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's currently in the works. We'll get that taken care of.
Yeah.
That would be great if you guys could get that other copy, gentlemen. If it is better quality, we would greatly appreciate that, and I'm sure our YouTube viewers and subscribers would as well.
Oh yeah, it's a lot clearer, a lot more.
Oh wow. There's a lot of sightings. I mean, within the last couple months, man. Look, if you look from some accounts up there in Fresno, California, man, there's actually a military base up there that people keep seeing stuff coming out of there. So some of this stuff I believe could be, some type of new propulsion system. Whether it be something from, maybe a reverse engineered for some kind of advanced technology, or just something that they gleaned out of Tesla's papers, that they took,
Very,
But
very
I believe
interesting.
some of this stuff has to be just like the stealth technology, years before the stealth technology was even, brought to the public, people were seeing those things fly all over the place. They're like, getting pictures and stuff and thinking they were, UFOs. But that was years before, the F-22 or the stealth bombers and all that. So, but at the same time, when you guys saying they're morphing, now that's a different story altogether. There are accounts of people seeing this kind of stuff in the daytime where it looks like a solid metal object, and then all of a sudden it looks like a figure sitting in the air, and it just kind of changed shape as it moves around. I mean, it's really strange. And I imagine the same thing. It could be the same type of object just at night with the glowing, maybe because of the propulsion system or something, or it could be multi-dimensional. Man, there's all kinds of things. So one other question. When you saw this, how did you feel? I mean, did either of you guys have any idea something like this was possible, or did it blow your mind? Did it make you think, differently about certain subjects? Are you now are you interested in maybe believe a little bit more about phenomena such as this?
It definitely changed my outlook for sure. It did blow my mind. I can't explain what it was. I have no knowledge of what it possibly could be.
Yeah, I have no
Yeah,
idea either.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that too, man. I've got lots of experience on, not necessarily. I've got one UFO, two. The second one I had wasn't as bad, wasn't as good, but the first one was, I mean, massive people, at least 20, 30 people. The one I saw in the daylight, and this was in a really. There's a lot of stuff happening in Wenatchee, Washington at the time. This is back in the 80s, and I'm talking people pulled over looking at this object in the sky, just sitting there. And when it disappeared, it looked like it popped like a balloon. And no, it wasn't a weather balloon. It was something that was sitting there that was tangible. You could see it. It was reflecting the sun. It looked metallic, grayish metallic. And then it either popped out of existence or it zipped off so quick we couldn't see it. But I can tell you what it looked like. It looked like there was a little flash. You guys ever seen a bubble? How a bubble pops and you see that flash of liquid in the sky, in the air, just kind of flashes of liquid flies everywhere on the outside of it.
For sure.
Definitely.
That's what it reminded me of. Really, really tripped me out, man. And ever since then, I've really, I was a lot more open to phenomena.
You
like
never
that,
know, Raven. They might, that video I made in the past about portals, they might be accessing portals with advanced technology that we do not have. I mean,
look what they're doing with the super collider right now, man.
hypothetically speaking, and at this day and age, also too, buddy. I mean, you brought this up before in past in conversation. At this day and age, there's so many sightings around the world. I mean, I know of some sightings that are in South America, and in Arizona. I'm sure you know of some as well. I mean, where massive amounts of people have seen not one but several unidentified flying objects at close ranges.
Oh yeah, man. Look at Quinling. You remember us talking about Quinling?
Yeah, go for it.
That was that actually. The story goes that Quinling, China. I can't remember the exact date. There was a lot of these people were witnessing a UFO or a blue flashing light over a city, and in Quinling, It was the city of Kunming, near the mountains. And apparently, after this blue light, some of the up close witnesses says it was like a swirling vortex above the town that was flashing blue lights, and there was a bunch of little blue lights in the inside of it. And what it looked like is a rip in the sky that was blue, and it was emanating this, blue light with all these smaller blue spheres moving around in it. And it just happens. I can't remember. It was like from 10 o'clock at night till like 2 in the morning or 4 in the morning or something like that. And the city just vanished.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It looked like things were dropping out of it too, right?
Yeah, well, I think it was just flashing over the city. I mean,
okay.
There's a video you could check out. Now, you guys got to remember, when this came out, China has really strong control over the internet there.
And media and television and everything in general.
They can shut stuff off quickly. So there's a theory going around that what they did was, the video did escape, and sorry about that. Mike, you're gonna have to cut this part out. My computer just tripped out on me.
It's okay, buddy.
Well, if you guys look it up, you can just find the video on YouTube, and it was about October 13th at 4 in the morning. It was rumored that the Kunming Mountains villages, only one village actually, it disappeared because of that blue light. So look it up. There's a lot of information online about it, and there's actually a theory that China made a second video that was exactly like it, so they could debunk it, and they put like stuff that they could be debunked in there. And so it was like so people could go over it and find things that were missing with it, messed up. So they really covered it up. I mean, that's the theory anyway. I articulated that really well.
And with most things in China, like they censor most media, like the TV, news, internet, everything.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, doing it that way, by releasing a video that was pretty much really close to the same and putting things in there that's debunkable, so you got these two videos. One, the original video and interviews actually escaped and got out. People recorded it before they pulled it. And then supposedly they made another one almost exactly like it and released it too. So you gotta think that's a really brilliant way to debunk something. People will be on there saying, "Well, look at this part of the video, look at this video," and
I'm sure if the Chinese populace is anything like the American populace is, I'm sure they question that video. And I just wanted to ask our guest one more question before we let him go, and I'll let you have a shot at him, Raven, before I let him go. If you had anything further you wanted to ask him. Now,
I think that's pretty good. Just go ahead.
Now, if you guys know, do you guys have any predispositions? Like, did you guys come into this believing in UFOs? Did you guys think that they were real? Or did you think they were fake? Did you never even think about them before?
I had some belief, but not a whole lot.
So would you say you thought they were real before? Never thought about it much?
Never really
I hadn't thought about it
much.
much. So I guess that would lead to probably no.
Now, after seeing that UFO, and you guys said you didn't think it was a plane or a helicopter or anything. I mean, there's obviously other guesses of what it could be. Do you guys have any personal feelings of what you guys thought you saw that evening?
I don't know what to think.
Okay.
I have no idea. It was just incredible.
Okay.
Really, really incredible.
One of the most amazing things you've ever seen?
Probably.
All right, Raven, did you have any more questions for these guys before we let them go?
No, just all except for look up a few things online, man, and you'll find some really amazing footage and some real eyewitness accounts of stuff. It's just crazy. I mean, you could blindfold yourself and just type keys on your computer and run into a UFO sighting, dude. I mean, that's how predominant they are.
I think if you
everywhere.
type UFO into YouTube, it triggers up 1 million responses even.
I'm telling you, man.
All right, guys, I wanted to thank
Very
you.
odd.
I
All
wanted
right, guys. Hey, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show this evening, guys. And remember, keep your phones on you. If you guys see anything else interesting in the skies, make sure to record. And as always, if you do, make sure you get back in contact with us so you can provide us with that information. We would greatly appreciate it, as well as our YouTube subscribers and viewers. I'm sure they'd appreciate viewing such information as well.
Will do.
Thanks for coming on.
us.
Thanks for
Thank you so
coming on,
much.
guys. Right.
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right, we're moving on with the.
Yeah, did you? We need to mention to the subscribers that what we should do, what we as we discussed is, post some questions in the comments, and we can, we'll get online, we'll get on the show and we'll answer them to the best of our ability. We even put some, we'll be objective about stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna start at the end of every show reading back people's questions on our show and then answering them for them at the end of every show.
And or good comments, or decent comments, even if they're opposing views,
We're planning on even reading some of the crazy ones just for good laughs.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you got to give them. You can't just give them all the sugar-coated stuff, But yeah, as what we were discussing earlier is the psyops. They're so tricky. They named it psyops for a reason. They're not. It's not like a reverse psychology thing. This is like we're talking reverse, and just when you think it's reversed, it's like the opposite. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. What people have to realize is me and Raven have been doing this a little bit now, not a significant period of time, but about a year amounts of time. And as far as making the videos and editing them and uploading them, and we're getting to the point where people are starting to respect our opinions enough to provide us with information that other people are not privy to, or at least I'm not. Some of the stuff that I've seen, especially a certain thing that I'm not even going to bring up what it is that's been provided to us, is actually I think it's more significant than anything I've seen any other talk show host that talks about conspiratorial topics like we do have in their possession or try to present to their audience. And we're at a point where we actually have something right now that we're not even sure if legally we can without getting locked up in Guantanamo Bay with a specific piece of information that we have.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to. I'm not looking forward to be waterboarded myself.
I'm pretty sure they'll do that, and they'll skip lunch and dinner. And I really enjoy lunch and dinner. They're really important meals for me.
The only time I can sleep at a long period of time in a standing position is if I was really wasted.
Yeah, I agree with that. And man, burning the candle at both ends here. Last night after our chat just about future videos, buddy, I tried to watch the new episode of Game of Thrones. Didn't even make it half through. Passed out, man, like a baby.
Oh yeah, I was beat last night too, man. Of course, I have an air conditioned room, and when we were talking, I was sitting in a really humid, just the fan on the ceiling was just blowing the hot air around. It was just drains me.
One thing
I can handle the cold a lot better than I can handle the heat. I'm sure that's true for a lot of people out there, but yeah, to get back to what we were talking about. We're talking about Alex Jones and all these other shows that are out there. I like to present, I'm just a regular guy, okay? Just, we're regular guys. But we do research, we can do, and we try to be objective on everything that we do, that we present, At no point am I going to tell you this is what's happening, this is it. Unless there's a smoking gun or straight out of the horse's mouth, you really can't do that. You have to present facts as they are and let people make up their, do their own little trail, follow the old trail to wherever, it may lead. But,
pretty much you gotta just barely open the door and turn a light on in the room.
Yeah, you gotta trickle this information in.
And people will slowly start to comment.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you pretty much just got to crack the door, turn a light on in the room, and people will slowly start to enter. You know what I mean? If you provide people with too much information at once, when I'm talking about a novice, they're going to think you're crazy. You know what I mean?
And it's absolutely. That's where the conspiracy theorist label comes in. You know,
Oh, for sure.
I mean that just turns people away you know, just automatically. If you give too much information out there, people don't know where to start. They're just they can't deal with it. It's like short circuit. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Like, I like to present people with facts. Like, have you ever heard what controlled demolition experts, like a significant portion of the vast majority of them, have had to say about 9/11? And then most people will say, no, no, I haven't. Like, say it came up in conversation, I'd say, you should look into that. And I leave it at that.
And
You know what
yeah,
I
and you
mean?
can hear them, but you can still hear them rolling their eyes. You know what I
It
mean?
depends. Now, I've noticed if you present people with facts and no opinion, you know what I mean? And just say something's interesting. I found that people are more willing to look into that than if you're like, oh man, 9/11 was an inside job. Our government knew about it and blah, 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 this and that. Whether I believe that or not is not the point. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Sometimes you got to take it easy when you're trying to,
Yeah.
hip somebody to a new topic that they are unfamiliar with because it's an overload for some people. You know what I mean? Just to jump
Well,
right into
absolutely,
it.
absolutely. I don't. Me, put me. Let's see, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Excuse me. Um, I was just like that. I was just like, you know, you got to think about this. Most people, or a lot of people, let's say a vast, you know, maybe not even a vast majority, but a significant amount of people out there, they see a headline. They don't even read the fine print. They see a headline. Oh, that's been solved. Oh, yeah. The reason for that is right there. It's, you know, it's the headlines, and then they go tell people, and it's all gospel. You know, that's exactly the point that we're making. Is you know, who said? I mean, somebody said this. I think it was Rupert, wasn't it? That said, read everything, watch everything, listen to everything, but don't believe one word of it until you do your own research. And I mean real research, not weeding through these conspiratorial YouTube channels. Because
William Cooper. William Cooper said that.
Cooper, yeah, Cooper, and that is that is the best. I mean, in a nutshell,
Best
that is the best
advice.
advice you can get
It
in this
is,
type of thing.
dude.
You know?
It really is. And that's the whole thing. I don't necessarily agree with everything William Cooper said, but I agree with his process. And he tried to base, side research, everything from multiple different avenues to prove that what he was saying to himself, I believe, was accurate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he wanted to
Well, his
present
methods
people with
on research,
accurate information.
definitely. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say he just wanted to. I can tell from just the type of gentleman he is because I've listened to a significant portion of his broadcasts in the past that his
Yeah.
main concern was that what he was saying was factual and accurate. You know what I mean? And that should be
Yeah.
everyone's position that is involving themselves in a situation like me where you're informing the public on topics. You know what I mean? And he always talked
Yeah.
about what's a person's agenda. I mean, forget about the facts, factual information that they're presenting you with. What is their personal agenda? Because, like Cooper said, a lot of these agendas out there are dangerous for Americans and for America. And this is something that people don't think about a whole lot when they're listening to people, whether it be a newscast on a news station, local, or like Fox, or whatever. What are these people's agendas? And most of us don't even know about these people or what their agendas are. And we take, everything they say as to heart.